right, you guys, welcome back with Talks with TJ. This is news and reviews. Briefly, I just want to touch on the Amanda Seales interview. I know I'm a couple of weeks late, and then I'm going to touch briefly on the Gary Owens interview that I just watched. Both of them were about 3 hours long, and then I want to touch on how terrible Shannon Sharp is as an interviewer. And let's just jump right into it. So let's talk about Amanda Seales first. I saw on the internet that she self-diagnosed herself with ASD, autism spectrum disorder. I did not see nowhere in that interview where she said that she self-diagnosed herself or alluded to the idea that she self-diagnosed herself. What I saw was her saying that she was just recently diagnosed as an adult. I didn't see anything more than that. I don't understand why the internet was playing around with that. And you know what? I do get it because there has been a trend where people are like, there's been this trend of like neurodivergent versus neurotypical individuals, or people who suffer from ADHD, or people who suffer from ADD, or people who are actually on the spectrum. There's been a normalizing people who have these disabilities. However, because it's a trend, it can be easily turned into everybody wants to be neurodivergent now because it's the thing to be. And I don't think that's the case for Amanda Seales. I also did not like how much pushback Amanda Seales telling her story or telling her truth that she got back from Shannon Sharp. See, he wouldn't have done that with Cat Williams. He didn't do that with Gary Owens. He didn't do that with Monique. But for some reason, he pushed back on Amanda Seales really hard throughout the entire interview. So she was talking about her first experience with racism, living in Central Florida. And he was just like, well, no, these are just kids. You saw kids are just being kids. And these are two instances that she talked about, because she talked about one when she was in grade school involving her educator. And then she talked about her being on a cast of a show for Nickelodeon in the early 90s. So both of those, she explained how the kids said that she's only here because she's basically a token and called her out her name, or how she faced discrimination with an educator. And because she talked back, she got singled out. Both of those instances, he made excuses for those individuals, like negating her actual experience. And I didn't like that at all. Shannon Sharp reminds me of when that white woman told y'all to just shut up and dribble. Because sometimes the way he comes off is very just Jim Crow. I don't want to say the slur on YouTube because this video is going to get taken down, but you know how he comes off. It's very like tap dancing. It's very like, yes, a boss. And as she was expressing those experiences to him, it just like further solidified that opinion that I have about him. Like, I knew that from the Cat Williams interview that he just could not keep up with how witty, how intelligent, and Cat Williams' ability to articulate. He just could not keep up. Monique slowed it down a bit for him in a way that he could understand. She used, I would call that like Black motherly vibe, where she kind of made him comfortable as she was telling him her experiences. So it kind of like drew him in. It was something familiar for him. Amanda Seales is very matter of fact. She is not based in emotion. She is based in the experience, and she's telling you about the experiences that she had, and then she would move into how that would affect her. It's not a conversation where both of those things are usually intertwined, right? So I wonder if that is what caused much of the pushback. She wasn't also there to make jokes. She wasn't also there to have a good time. She was just there to tell her experience. So both of those situations kind of threw me off. The transition was horrible. And then the facts were inaccurate as well, because he moved from that first experience of her expressing like a racial bias against her to, so your mother's white. Mother's not white. So your father's white. Father's not white. Neither of my parents are of Caucasian descent. And then she goes further into, telling Shannon Sharp her mother's descent. And I'm just like, well, how did we get to point A to point B? The transition was terrible. I'm not sure if you was just running out of conversation to have with her regarding the first point, because every excuse that you gave to defend the villain that was in her story, she had an answer back for you, and you couldn't take that, and it kind of got you frustrated. And then at some point in time, he also started to like mansplain things to her, which kind of pissed me off too, because I'm like, she's literally just telling you about her experiences, and you're just like, no, this is the way this goes, this is how that happens, and you just need to, no, you need to sit back and listen. And you build off of what she's telling you. If you want more detail for the audience, then you do that. You don't. This is like, I just, it bothered the hell out of me. She talks about her relationship on Insecure with Issa Rae and the other cast members. Oftentimes, and I'm going to like jump into the spiritual bag real quick. Oftentimes when you are considered chosen, you walk a very narrow path. You walk a very lonely path. You walk a path that no one before you or no one around you is walking, right? You're not the status quo. You're not to fit in with others. You won't get along with others. It's going to be hard for you to blend yourself into the crowd, because somehow, some way, other people around you are going to know that you're not like them just based off of the energy that you give off. Which brings me into my next topic. Amanda Seales is also someone who is highly spiritual. She didn't disclose to the extent of what she practices, but for Shannon Sharp, big country bumpkin ass, to just shut it down with his like narrow-minded southern way of Christianity killed the hell out of me. Oh, you believe in like witches, or you believe in tarot. She believes in a lot because it's all energy. For those who know, who know. For those who don't, continue to praise Jesus. There's no shade. If that's what you've been doing and that's what your grandmama been doing, then continue to do that. But we're not going to knock her for what she's doing or what she may have actually been initiated into, especially having a Caribbean descent. So we don't even know if she actually has gifts along with like her journey. Again, on a spiritual tip, when you get these gifts, or when you obtain this level of power and obtain this level of awareness, you tend to walk an extremely lonely path. So I just hope that she has her community outside of all the drama and all the backlash that she consistently gets. And honestly, I love the way that she talks in a position of matter of fact. I actually love that. Jumping back to Issa Rae. So she was just saying basically how Issa Rae and her end up having a falling out, right? And then she tried to repair it, and then it eventually, separated again. Or how there was a whole bunch of like he say, she say going on in the background. And basically just having a unsafe work environment for her mental health, which can lead to her physical health as well. And had no resources that were going to be able to back her in this situation. I can relate on a smaller scale. I am currently in a situation where my workspace is not conducive for my mental health. So I tend to disassociate from this job once I step on it. And I do not have any resources that are willing to align with me to help me navigate this path, because I do not fit the status quo of this position. After that Issa Rae situation, she also talked about, which was in connection to Issa Rae's assistant, about how she got kicked out this all black party. It was either for like the Emmys, the Oscars, or the Grammys. One of the big one of the big award shows, they were having an after party, and it was exclusively for black people. And for 2 years in a row, I think the first year she had complications, and then the second year she was completely kicked out. So in that, um, in that, um, it was just to wrap that up, it was just basically like classic Mean Girl syndrome. Issa did absolutely nothing about it. She could have, but she didn't. And you know what? To her fault, I'm not getting in the middle of this. It's you both are grown. I'm not about to be the mediator to this. That's not my job. That's a boundary. I can understand that. But she's your employer. Both of them are both of your technically employees. Part of being that supervisor is to manage other people, even though they are adults. Adults don't get along. We should have did something about that. We should have said, hey, what's the issue? Come to find out, there was no real issue. The girl just didn't like her. Sometimes that shit happens. Shit happens to me. Off the strength, don't even like me. Just don't like me. Don't like how I speak, don't like how I talk, don't like how I carry myself, etc., etc. Been there, done that. I understand. To her degree, it was also on a larger scale because whatever Amanda Seales does, it gets pushed into the media. So I feel sorry for her on that part, because it's like she never gets a break. In these situations, she's villainized, and she's not the villain, she's the victim. But that's what master manipulators do. Jumping into Gary Owens. As a kid, growing up with Gary Owens, he was funny. The whole stick about him being that white guy being invited to the cookout and only dating black women, etc., was cool then. As a functioning adult, it's not cool now. Him jumping in and out of Ebonics, sounding like a white guy to not sounding like a white guy, to sounding like a black guy when he's trying to get a point across that's going to reach Shannon Sharp being a big country bumpkin, trying to give off this cool appeal. And it's something that he's been doing for years, so it is his personality type, I guess. But through the interview, without him saying it, you could tell that he was the issue. I do like the level of accountability that he was. I do like the level of accountability that he was giving, far as stepping out on his marriage and kind of protecting his wife in that regard. I am not too versed in the situation on how that exactly blew up, but I do know now that none of his kids are talking to him. The kids are always going to side with the mother, right? Especially if you're the father and you've done something wrong to their mother, they're going to side with the mother. They're not going to see exactly what the mother did wrong on her behalf. They're just going to see that you hurt that parent, and now you're the common enemy, right? Especially the way things played out. His family falling off from him, I can understand that. Coming from a shit family and then you being the only one successful, it's hard for them to transition into that success with you. When all of their life, all they knew was abuse, hurt, and struggle in survival mode, right? You no longer live that life. And honestly, when you have family members like that, they do continuously prey on your downfall. I empathize with him. Not empathize. I am sympathetic in regards to his brother passing away from an overdose, in the midst of his mother not talking to him, in the midst of his stepfather being abusive, and his family falling apart. And it was probably karma that led up to all of that. Usually when things happen like that, it's a tower moment for him. I would like to do more research. I'm trying to find the clip where him and Shannon Sharp were talking about defending black women, and like Shannon Sharp laughs like a goddamn God. I can't say the slurs on here. If I would, it would be bad, because he just comes off as like Master's favorite. This big, strong, and dumb. Christ. I did get through majority of that. It was 3 hours long. Both of them are very long videos. So trying to get through all of that content and remembering it is crazy. Shit. Now on to some other news coming out of that. Candace Owens has been invited to the Shannon Sharp Show. If he could not take Amanda Seales, if he was getting talked about blatantly in front of his face by Cat Williams, if Monique had to mommify his ass, Candace Owens is going to get away with saying whatever she wants, how she wants, and he's going to agree with it every time. She can be talking about the demise of black men, and she is the ringleader of it, and he's just going to laugh. Yeah, them black men do got to go down. Ha, 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 ha. He's going to do some shit like that. Not saying that she will. Not saying that's actually like her actual like angle. I'm just saying like she can literally say anything out her mouth and he's not going to catch it. He's just going to continue on with the conversation. I'm just more interested of hearing what Candace Owens is going to say and the line of shitty questioning that he's going to have. What makes Shannon Sharp's show so successful is, again, not the people, not the interview itself, but the people that he's interviewing. But that has been it for me. This has been a Taj Talk. Peace.